doing a test, we're doing a test. I'll see if I'm in focus. Who's to say?
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Lee Murphy, and I'm sorry for pointing at you so aggressively, but what I want to talk about is something about board games, and today it's going to have to do with resources in board games. Many board games have resources. These are things that you can collect, usually then spend to get other stuff, and that's what makes board games great, is when you get resources to spend those resources. They're my favorite types of games. Get resources to get rid of those resources, to get new resources to get rid of those resources, to get points. But what I want to talk about are different types of resources, because many games will fall into typical stuff like money, wood, stone, building materials. It all is logically built into what you're doing in the game. You're usually building stuff, you need materials, you need money to do those things, which is totally cool. But what I'm curious about are, what are the strangest type of resource you have ever found in a game? Whether that is sort of a replacement for what would normally be money or something in a game, or if it's just a really unique, specific to this game's resource. What's a resource that you're like, I don't think I've ever seen that as a resource in a game? Ultimately, resources are stand-ins. They could be anything, right? A lot of times, imagine if you're developing a game, it's just like red cubes are this that make you buy that. And eventually it becomes pants or whatever if it's a Euro game, very likely. But not every game decides to keep it straightforward like that. So I want to talk about a couple of examples of just kind of like out there resources that make me laugh. One of them is going to be Chimera Station. This is already a strange, interesting world for a game where you are on a space station. You are these little alien workers that can add body parts to yourself to modify the things you can do. And one of their resources is green hamburgers. There's money and green hamburgers. Those are the only things that exist in this world, and everyone does all their trading and business with that, with green hamburgers specifically, or money. And that makes me laugh. I'm just like, that just fits its world. I'm like, okay, why not? Everyone eats green burgers, everyone has a good time. Meanwhile, you just got some tentacles added to you. That's cool, that's a normal day within this world. I dig that. Another game that has an interesting resource is The Pursuit of Happiness. It's all about going through life and how you spend your time to gain the most happiness. And one of the resource types, there's money and stuff, there's normal things, but one of the resource types is creativity, kind of having a bright idea. And I really like that as a way to integrate the thematics into the mechanisms of the game, because you're sometimes working on big projects, you are writing a book, you are doing an artistic job or something that requires creativity. So I love that that's a resource that you can spend, is having bright ideas. I think that's super duper neat. There's things like Praga Kaput Rainy, which I've talked a lot about recently, and it has eggs in it. Now, like a game like Wingspan having eggs makes sense. It's about birds. Praga Kaput Rainy is about Prague, which I don't think of being an egg town. But there's the St. Charles Bridge, which was used reportedly. They used egg and stuff to help make the mortar. And so it's kind of like a nod to a really specific historical moment. And so now you have eggs along with stone and gold, which makes much more sense given the type of game that Praga is. So that's just kind of an interesting one for its setting. My favorite, probably my favorite resource ever in a game is for photosynthesis, because in the game you are planting trees and those trees are growing and you're trying to catch sunlight. And the more sunlight you catch, the more sunlight you have to then spend, because you are spending that sunlight in the form of energy. And this is how it works in nature. You convert that into energy to help you grow big and strong. So I love that you have this little tracker that is light. Light is your money, light is your life. It's how you spend and do everything. I think that's incredibly interesting. I think it fits so perfectly with its theme, where you are trying to gain and then spend that light to kind of work your little natural engine, as it were. So let me know in the comments, what are some like resources that are to you just a little bit left of center, where you're like, that's interesting, or that's fun, or that really brings me into the theme by doing something that's maybe, again, I don't want to say weird or strange, just non-standard, okay? Not the couple, stone, wood, money, the kind of typical things you'll see as resources for games. Let me know those weird, strange, odd, non-standard resources in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next Minute in a Game Minute. Just remember, the more meta, the more beta, even if it's eggs. Thanks so much for checking out another Metagame Minute. If you want to see what Nick was talking about last week in Metagame Minute, you can check out a video right up there. And if you want to see us touch a bunch of board games and get some of our hands on those resources but not know what they are, you can check out a video of us doing a blindfolded game challenge to see if we can guess a game just by feel. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification so that you know when we have new videos.